I've been a diehard J. Cole fan for maybe a decade now, and I still intend on being one for the rest of my life. But if we're being honest, it's a bit of a confusing time to be a J. Cole fan. On March 22nd, Metro Boomin and Future dropped their collab album We Don't Trust You, and on it, Kendrick Lamar had a feature verse where he dissed Drake and J. Cole, claiming that there was no big three because he's solely the biggest in hip-hop. On the 5th of April, J. Cole dropped a surprise mixtape, Might Delete Later, where he fired back his own disses. The disses included Cole claiming that he was the best in rap. He said To Pimp a Butterfly wasn't a great album, and he said that this was just a warning shot. 2 days after releasing the mixtape, J. Cole performed at his Dreamville festival and told the world that he regrets taking those shots at Kendrick and apologized. Now I'm gonna start with the negatives before I go into the positives, but I just don't understand how J. Cole put himself in this situation. In a previous video, I spoke about how on Twitter, people speculated that Kendrick's real beef was with Drake. When Kendrick dissed First Person Shooter, he was really mad at Drake, even though we're just speculating. There's honestly a lot of evidence that correlates with the assumption that Kendrick was mad at Drake. First of all, Kendrick and Drake have a track record of sneak dissing each other. I've said this multiple times. Secondly, Kendrick chose to air out his grievances on a Metro Boomin album. Metro Boomin being somebody who recently has been very vocal about how much he doesn't like Drake. Metro Boomin made a whole album called We Don't Trust You with Future, another person who isn't on good terms with Drake. And thirdly, unless I'm wrong, but there's no track record of either Kendrick, nor Metro, nor Future having any sort of beef with J. Cole. But there is a track record of them having beef with Drake though. All of this is enough for me to speculate, not conclude, but speculate that the beef was with Drake. But J. Cole chose to respond first. And if we're being honest, this is rap. And if you're somebody who knows rap as a culture, then you know that it's a very alpha male culture. No one is allowed to look weak. You always have to believe you're the best, and if somebody disrespects you, you need to stand up and fight back. Love it or hate it, that's been rap. So I can understand how Cole probably saw Drake not responding and thought he needed to say something. Or else the internet will look at it as Kendrick bodying two guys at the same time, him being one of them. If you really think about it, J. Cole was put between a rock and a hard place. It's either you don't respond and be seen as weak for being bullied alongside Drake by one man, or include yourself in a beef that isn't really about you. Those are really his only two options. And for that I give him merit. But at the end of the day, he chose to respond and made a major misjudgment. This misjudgment being the fact that when he dissed Kendrick, we can tell his heart wasn't in it. Listening to 7 Minute Drill, which is still a good song by the way, but you can tell that he wasn't really in beef rapping mode, because despite the song still being good, the claims he was making didn't make sense. Him calling To Pimp a Butterfly boring didn't make sense. Him saying if Kendrick wasn't dissing, nobody would be talking about him, when J. Cole was actually the one who first spoke about Kendrick in First Person Shooter. That didn't make sense. Him calling Mr. Morale tragic didn't make sense. Yes, Mr. Morale wasn't as widely successful as Damn, but it was still a great album and ran numbers. Overall, you can just tell that he wasn't in it. J. Cole is a man who's proven himself in recent years to be in his lyrical prime. I refuse to believe that the man who wrote his verse on Benny the Butcher's Johnny P's Caddy is the same guy who made 7 Minute Drill, because something was just off, and now we have a definitive answer on what was off. I'm pretty sure J. Cole regretted and apologized to Kendrick Lamar when the reality of what he'd done sunk in. J. Cole probably realized how crazy the claims on 7 Minute Drill were. He realized he basically gave Kendrick a lot of ammo to use against him by making these claims. J. Cole probably realized that when Kendrick responds, he probably won't have anything to say because his heart wasn't in it. And he realized that he gave into social media pressures by acting this way instead of what he wanted to do. J. Cole wasn't feeling this beef. He didn't have that thing in him to prove something to the world. And the thing that frustrates me is the fact that right now, J. Cole responded to Kendrick, retracted his response, and apologized, all while we haven't gotten a response from Drake, the person who this beef is really about. I hate to say it, but this might be the end. In my last video, I went on about how rap has never felt more alive than it is right now. But the thing is, it might be a rap, guys. J. Cole apologized. I don't really think Kendrick's gonna respond to J. Cole with a diss. And Drake seems to have made it clear that he doesn't want to get involved. I think the beef is done. Talk about underwhelming. I mean, at the end of the day, this video is just speculation, so who knows. But unless Drake surprises us with a response, I don't really see how this beef can move forward. But to quickly focus on the positive, I hope there's one way that people choose to remember this whole altercation. And I hope that way is through seeing J. Cole's character. Earlier, I spoke about how rap is an alpha male culture. You're never allowed to look weak. And here is a man who realized that he made a decision that he doesn't believe in and went on stage and apologized to his peer, all while being one of the biggest rappers in the world. He could have just tweeted his apology, but he stood on a whole stage and said, "I'm sorry." Say what you want, but I respect a man who can put his pride aside and do what he believes in despite the possibility of public ridicule. People can say Kendrick has the best albums, people can say Drake runs the most numbers, but going forward, I'll only see J. Cole as the realist, the most authentic, somebody who genuinely doesn't care about people's opinions more than he cares about being himself. But what do you think? Should J. Cole have apologized? Is he taking a massive L? Or did he win your respect? Let me know in the comment section below, and as usual, I'm an extremely small YouTuber, so if you like this video, please like and please subscribe, because every single like and every single subscription counts. And thank you for watching.